I don't think you understand how copywriting can change your life in the next 3 months. I'm not gonna mislead you here and say that you're gonna go from wherever you're at now to driving around in a Lambo in 3 months, but what you can do in these next 90 days is set up a foundation so that you are actually somebody who is competent and capable and ready to make money. And then in 6 months' time or in 12 months' time, you will be making money. And 2 years from now, maybe you will be in your dream car, you will be living a life that you always wanted to live, and you'll look back on this video and be like, damn, I'm glad I started today. So my goal in this video is to show you concrete proof that this is possible, because I remember when I was watching videos like this before I ever made any money online, I'd look at people like me and be like, do I trust him, or is he just another guru grifter trying to sell me a course? He claims that he made all of this money doing this business model, but does it actually work? It sounds too good to be true. He's throwing around claims and he's bragging and he's showing that this is so easy, so simple, and it just doesn't sound like that's accurate or truthful. So what I'm gonna do here is show you a full timeline on my journey. From 4 years ago when I was just your average kid with no idea what I wanted to do with my life, to now living in Miami, driving my dream car, making millions of dollars online. I'm gonna show you step by step everything that I did to get here. Now first, let me show you some undeniable proof. I have my Stripe dashboard pulled up here. As you can see, this isn't a screenshot, this is a live dashboard. From January 1st, 2023 to December 28th, 2024, about 2 years, I processed a little over $1 million just on this Stripe account. Now over this time, I've taken all of my bigger payments through wires, so I've really made closer to $2 million over the last 2 years, and I'll be showing you some of those wires later just so that you know that I am not full of shit. So let's get into the main part of the video. Here is me back in 2020, and as you can see, I'm holding a Corona in my hand there. I actually think I had COVID at the time, and I was a bit of a loser. I didn't really have any direction in my life. I was in a fraternity, I was going out 3-4 nights a week, and I look happy in this picture, but I know on the inside, I'm going fucking crazy. I'm like, okay, I gotta do something with my life. I gotta get out of this situation. I wanna build a business. I wanna live a cool life. I don't wanna be stuck in a cubicle for 40 years after I enjoy this little 4-year vacation here. I gotta do something. And that voice was eating me up. And as I'm sitting there in college, I have like this constant anxiety knowing that I'm on a path that I don't wanna be on. And I just keep thinking, okay, what am I gonna do with my life? How am I gonna get out of this? What business am I gonna start? Let's go, let's move, let's do something. Not long after, you might remember the common cold, the whole COVID thing, largely thanks to this guy, but COVID actually ended up being a perfect opportunity for me. I went home after my freshman year of college. My second semester was almost over. We all got sent home, and I'm basically isolated for the next 6 months. And I'm sitting there with myself, with my thoughts, with nothing to do, thinking, okay, well, now's the chance. You know, I have all this excess of time. I'm cheating in all my classes in school. Why don't I go ahead and try some online business thing? And scroll down a little further. I did exactly that. I started to get back into online business, into entrepreneurship, trying to figure out how to make money. I picked up a camera and I started doing videography. I tried to start a dropshipping brand with this stupid little holographic basketball. That didn't work, but at least I'm trying. And then I started an e-com ad creative agency where I was making ad creatives for brands like this, USA Drinking Team. I'm just trying anything. I'm throwing paint at the wall and hoping something will stick. And nothing's really working yet. I'm not making much money, but I'm trying. And this was foundational. Outside of that, I started reading more. I'm picking up books. I'm improving my habits. I'm reading all like the guru books that Tim Ferriss and Tony Robbins would tell you to read. But finally, I've just committed to actually improving my life and actually making a change, because I didn't want to be this kid forever. I didn't want to continue on the path that this kid was on. So I start making the necessary changes to become a new, upgraded version of myself. So fast forward a little further, and I reach my first semi-successful online business venture, Hooper Media. So Hooper Media was a local lead gen SMMA, and I was working with local basketball trainers, running their Facebook ads, setting up go high level automations, running their email and SMS campaigns. This was the typical model that a lot of the online gurus were talking about. Ty Lopez, Iman, everybody was like, start a lead gen SMMA, and a lot of people were working with real estate agents or HVAC or solar. And I figured, I grew up a basketball player, so I was like, why not go after basketball trainers? All of these people people need clients, I can learn these skills that you see here and then go and help them get more clients. So I did exactly that. I learned a little bit about Facebook advertising. I invested in a coaching program, and then I hopped in Facebook groups where a lot of the basketball trainers were hanging out in. They were sharing tips, they were connecting with each other, and I just got into those groups and I started learning about the industry. I started talking to people, having conversations, and learning, okay, there is a real market here. These people do need help with their advertising, and I started building relationships, and not long after I was able to get a few clients. I'd get decent results for them. I'd keep doing outreach. Eventually I started running ads to get clients, and then this business kind of started to work. And just to show you some quick context, like this was the bulk of my service delivery. I was setting up simple ads like this. I would write all of this copy. I'd go into the Facebook ads manager and target their local area. And this was like my first real reps of using copywriting, writing, attention city parents, is your child passionate about the game of basketball? To kick off the summer, we have decided to offer a free training session for your child. Exceed the competition by learning the game from trainers that have worked with thousands of players in the area. Little testimonial there, call to action, 6 spots left. Like the very basics and fundamentals of copywriting. I'm starting to exercise that skill and start to understand, okay, this is how I get someone's attention, relate to their pain point, amplify their pain, show credibility, and then have a call to action and try to get them to sign up for a training session with my client. But there were some pros and cons to this business model. First, the pros were it was a really unsophisticated market, meaning basketball trainers weren't used to being pitched marketing services. They weren't used to working with marketers. So even though I didn't really know much, I knew more than them, which helped me out because I could go into those sales conversations and show that I know what I'm talking about, and that helped me actually close deals. Next, it was a blue ocean. Just people weren't working with local basketball trainers, and there was a reason for that I found out later. But at the time, that made it easier to get clients because they're not getting pitched every day like some of the popular SMMA niches were. Next, the service delivery was really simple. All I had to do was set up an ad like this and then learn the basics of Go High Level, connect the ad to Go High Level, set up some automation so that when somebody opts in on Facebook, they're getting texts that are saying something like schedule your training session here. And that was about it. So it was quite simple, but I started to stack a bunch of skills. And I got better as a copywriter and as a marketer. I understood a sales process and how you can take cold attention and build the interest, eventually get them on the phone or get them in the door of one of my clients' facilities, and then they become a paying customer. And lastly, I had a really good market understanding. So because I grew up playing basketball, I was able to relate to a lot of the trainers, and I already kind of understood the lingo. It helped me just get into that niche because I could tell them about my story with basketball and working with trainers. And then when I'm writing copy, I know how to write to the parents or to the players because I used to be in that demographic, so it just made it a bit easier for me. But there were some cons with this. So the cons were it was low ticket clients. I was charging $1,000 a month, and even that was a stretch because they weren't making a ton of money as it was. There just wasn't a ton of money in in-person basketball training, so a lot of my clients were struggling. And because of these two things, it made results unpredictable. Like they didn't have a solidified sales process that they knew they could take somebody who had never heard of them before and turn them into a client. Most of the time, they're not following up with leads until days later, and no matter how many leads I get them, they're just not going to convert them very well. So that made it more difficult for me to get results for them, and because of that, my clients were churning, and that was just another complication that came with this business model. And lastly here, I have unaware market. So because they weren't accustomed to being sold marketing services to, that was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing because then I had to sell them twice. I had to sell them on the idea of marketing first. So, okay, here's why you should invest some money into paid advertising. And once I sold them on that, then I had to sell them as me, as the person to help them do so. So that made it a little bit harder to close deals and get people to trust me, just because most people that were selling in-person basketball training weren't running any ads. And that was just another thing that I had to get over. But end result here is I made $16,000 in my best month, but it took me 16 clients to do so. And that was a bit of an issue, but just to show you some solidified proof, here's July 2022, $16,000, as you can see here. And it was around this time that I started thinking like, damn, I really know what I'm doing. I'm really skilled at copywriting and sales, and I understand how to run paid ads, build funnels, build full CRMs. And I was running ads to get my own clients as well. I was just getting a lot of fucking experience, and it felt like this number here, the 16K that I was making, just wasn't reflective of my skill set at the time. But obviously that ended up serving me because I built that skill set. So if I go over here, this is where I started to find more money because I built a bit of a brand for myself in the basketball training space, and because I was running ads, like I was just an active member in this community, I started to connect with people like you see here that had really big audiences, and these guys are selling online training. And because I already had such a good vast skill set that I built up, I was able to start working with them and running all of their ads, writing their email copy, building funnels, scripting VSLs. It made it so I was a really valuable asset to them right away, and I realized that there's a lot more money in online coaching than there is in in-person coaching. And so as you can see here, just a few months later, from July 2022 to now September 2022, I hit my first $25,000 month. And this is as I started to transition into the online coaching industry. Again, just using my copywriting skills. Because I'm working with bigger clients who are making more money, I start to make more money. And now I'm finally realizing, like, wow, there's a lot of money in online coaching. And previously, I'd felt like I had the right skill set to make a lot of money, but I was just in the wrong vehicle. Now I think I found the vehicle. And if I go over here, I'll show you how I did exactly this. A few months later, by February 2023, I had transitioned fully into the info product space and no longer just working with basketball trainers, but now working with a lot of your typical kind of make money online gurus, your drop shippers, your Amazon FBA guys, dating coaches, high ticket sales, etc. And now I'm hitting close to 50K months in just February of 2023, working with far less clients than I was when I was running the typical SMMA. So I reached this breakthrough when I moved fully into the info product space, and eventually I was able to get to 6-figure months with just 7 clients and build kind of a systematic approach where I could take somebody who has solid traffic and implement the systems and my copywriting ability to help them make a ton of more money. And that's when I started to make some real money. Here's a wire that I got towards the end of 2023 for $35,000. And that's just from one singular client. Here's them paying me the next month $45,000, which is now 3 times more than I ever made in the basketball training agency. Here's November, that same month on Stripe, I processed $64,000 through there, plus that big wire, reaching 6-figure months. And again, I'm not much more skilled than I was when I was running the local lead gen SMMA, but I'm just in a better vehicle. I'm utilizing my skill set in a much more leveraged way so that I'm handling everything on the back end for my clients. They have a big personal brand. They're selling online coaching. They're the face of it. And my job is to just make sure that they're maximizing every eyeball that they're getting on their content. So I'm doing all of the copy, the funnel building, helping build the sales team, helping with the content strategy, all of the systems and operations and processes that go with that. I'm in control of all of that, which I know that might sound complicated, but really it was just getting good at this fundamental skill of copywriting, then adding all of these other services that I could learn incredibly quickly. Like, you're just 1 or 2 YouTube videos away from being a good funnel builder or learning the ins and outs of Zapier or Go High Level or any of the back-end automations. All of that stuff is relatively easy, and once you pair that with copywriting, that's how you start to gain leverage, and you're able to charge this much money on a rev share, which your clients are happy to pay you that much because they're making 300 grand a month. All they have to do is focus on content, and you're handling everything on the back end for them. That's why I then gained the leverage to make that much money in single months from just 1 client. And if I go over here, this allowed me to work with a lot of the big names in the info product space. You might recognize some of these guys: Cardinal Mason, Sebastian Georgiou, Sebastian Escueda, Ben Kelly, Kevin Kunze, Kevin Packman. This is Devin Levique here. We've got Cam Oliveira, KT Hustles, Rob the Bank. Like, the list goes on and on. I was able to get really good results for a couple clients and then use that system to go get more clients. And I was able to start scaling and work with really cool people in the process. And I'm still doing this to this day. Like, if you're watching this, obviously you see a lot of the gurus online. You see all of these people who are making content and selling coaching programs, and they need somebody like me or like you potentially to come into their business and run all of the operations, write all of their copies, script VSLs for them, write their emails, because their highest leverage thing is content. All they should be doing is focusing on getting more eyeballs. They shouldn't be worrying about the sales process and writing consistent emails and everything on the back end. So they're happy and willing to outsource that. And once you get good and you start managing all of these moving pieces of their business, you're an integral part of that business. So you're able to get them on a 10 or 20% rev share. And when you scale them to 500 grand a month, like I've done with some of my clients, that's how I'm able to get 30, 40, $50,000 wires in single months. So let's talk about some key takeaways in my journey. Everything started to click for me once I started working with people that were selling info. And most of them are selling high ticket coaching programs. They're not wasting their time trying to sell low ticket things and just build up monthly recurring revenue that way. Typically, when it's a high ticket coaching program, meaning it's at least $3,000 plus, you're gonna make a lot more money. There are exceptions to this if somebody has a younger audience or if they just have such a big audience and you can sell to such a big net of people. Low ticket can still work that way, but 9 times out of 10, you're gonna make more money with high ticket. And then the next unlock for me, because I'm making so much money with my clients, was rev shares. And like, once I got my first rev share and I made more money in a single month from one client than I made working with 15 plus clients in the local SMMA, I was like, I uncovered something here. I should have been doing this all along. And so once I worked with all of these really successful people in the info product space, this gave me leverage where I could charge like 10 to 15K up front plus the 10 to 20% revenue share. So that's how I was able to scale to 6-figure months in this business and make 30K plus in a single month from one client. So let's talk about you. How are you actually gonna go about implementing everything that I just talked about? If you're on the other side of the screen here and you're like, okay, this makes sense. I wanna work with people who sell info. What are the next steps? I'm gonna break this down into 3 phases. The first phase is gonna be research. You have to just start immersing yourself in online business and in the coaching space. You have to, anytime that you see somebody who is making content, who's selling info, go through their funnel, go through their content, check out their emails, just observe everything that you're doing so you start to understand, okay, this person that I like, say, take Brez for example. He's been blowing up on pretty much every platform recently. He's selling a coaching program about freelance brand scaling. Like, if you just took the time to go through his funnel and pay attention to what he's doing, it seems like he's crushing it. So maybe that'll give you a better understanding of, okay, this is someone who's doing well in the info product space. Maybe I can take this same model and apply it to a different client. And as you're doing this, like, start to save all of these examples. Build a swipe file on your computer of funnels that you see and emails that you see. And in doing this, you'll just naturally become aware of what good marketing looks like, what copywriting looks like, how this whole info product world works. And then you should also start learning as much as you can about copywriting. That can be through YouTube videos, that can be through books. And if you just do this for 2 to 4 weeks, you'll be drastically ahead of where you are now. Especially if you're a complete beginner, you'll learn so much in this process and start to feel like, okay, I understand what I'm doing here now. I can go and try to get clients and start to do this for myself. And that will perfectly bring you into phase 2, which is enter the arena. So now you can start to get practice reps. Like, if there's somebody that you watch online, you can go write a sample VSL for them or write an email for them. And then use AI, use something like Claude or ChatGPT to see how you can improve your copy and if there's anything that you're doing incorrectly, and you can feed it other examples of good copy and ask it to help you learn how to write like that. And it only takes like 2 to 4 weeks to be at a point where you are ready to start outreach. Once you start outreach, like, that is your main priority, that's your main focus. All you need to focus on is going and getting a client and sending really good pitches every single day until you get a client. And what I mean by this is you're focusing on quality over quantity. There's a lot of people pitching guys that are selling info, but most of them are absolutely horrible. So if you just take the time to go through their funnel and see what can be improved and then show them on a Google Doc or through a Loom exactly how you can help them fix these things in their business, they'll feel like you actually understand them and you're not just like one of these random little kids who's reaching out to them online. And when you do that consistently enough, you'll get a client. And then once you get a client, phase 3 is squeeze the lemon. You have to maximize the opportunity as much as you possibly can, because one really good case study will change your life and you'll never have to worry about getting clients again. If you just do everything that you possibly can to get incredible results for them, that will lead to more opportunities. And not only can you potentially just make a lot of money with that existing client, like, I have this one kid who I consulted with in June of 2024. And he had just gotten his first client. It's a real estate guy. He had him on a 20% rev share. By November of 2024, so just under 6 months later, he scaled that client from 0 to 650K a month, and he made 104 grand that month from one client. That one big win can make you rich, and now, let's say that client left him tomorrow, he'd be in a position where he can go to somebody else and say, hey, I took this guy from 0 to 600 grand a month. Do you want me to help you do the same? He would have a very easy time getting clients if he's able to say that in his outreach message. So I hope seeing my journey and seeing that I'm not special, I made plenty of mistakes along the way, but I kind of ended up here in this weird roundabout way. I hope this has helped you understand that this is truly possible and that there's a ton of money to be made in the coaching industry and by using your copywriting ability. And unlike most people who are selling coaching online, this business model made me rich. I did 0 of my own coaching until June of last year, and by then I already had my dream car. I was living in Miami. I had $50,000 watches. Like, I built everything through the actual business model, not through selling my own coaching. And it wasn't until I'd reached 6-figure months consistently running an info product copywriting business to where I started my own coaching program, which you'll see the link to apply for if you go to the description of this video. But again, if you just learn copywriting and apply it in the right direction, which the creator economy is absolutely booming. Everybody's rushing to start their own personal brand. The opportunities are endless in this space, and you can make a fuck ton of money by simply going where the money is. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share this with your grandma, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.